Hello and welcome to Utica TV Overtime. We hope you had a great holiday weekend. We're back here today to keep you up to date with everything that's going on with your Utica Pioneers. I'm your host, Andres Jaime Mendez.
And I'm your host, James Brown. Let's get right into the action from the past week and preview some games and events coming up.
For beating Houghton on Sunday, April 2nd, the Utica University baseball team faced the Highlanders in a doubleheader last Monday. Houghton took the first game of the doubleheader behind Hunter Kendall, absolutely shoving for 5 out of the 7 innings of the first game, getting up to 88 miles per hour and striking out 9. The first game was tied from the bottom of the 4th until the top of the 7th when a Houghton single brought home the Highlanders' 4th run, which ended up being enough to take the first game for the Pioneers. Second game of the doubleheader looked like a matchup between two different teams, as Utica absolutely demolished the Highlanders, winning 13-0. The Pioneers put up 2 6 spots in the first and 4th innings of the 7-inning game. Cooper Nabe pitched all 7 innings and earned himself a third Empire 8 Rookie of the Week honor. After these 2 games, Utica and Houghton both sat at 4-2 in conference play.
Utica baseball took on SUNY Cobleskill Tigers in a Tuesday afternoon matchup on April 4th, which saw the Pioneers defeated in dominant fashion. Cobleskill routed Utica in a game the Pioneers just never got a grip on, with the lead extending all the way out to 8, with the Tigers leading 10-2 going into the 9th. With the Pioneers able to tack on 2 runs at the bottom of the inning. The 10-4 final saw freshman starter Derek Gutremont give Utica some lengths with 5 innings pitched, but he took the loss after giving up 5 runs. The 3 spot by Cobleskill in the 6th seemed to put the game out of reach for the Pioneers, and the 2 runs put up by the Tigers in the 7th all but confirmed it wasn't Utica's day whatsoever. The Pioneers knew they would have to bounce back ahead with a big weekend against Houghton, as they will face off against Keuka Wolves after Keuka's field became submerged due to extensive precipitation.
Last Tuesday, the women's lacrosse team would play Plattsburgh State at home in an overtime thriller. The women were led by Grace Stuhlman, as she had an outstanding performance with 5 goals and 7 drawn controls. Utica was also led by Alyssa Drubb, as she had 4 points, which included a hat trick. The other Pioneers that contributed to the scoring effort were Ruby Ackerman, Danielle Muscari, Alyssa Pisano, and Samantha DeCondo, as they each added 1 goal. Goalie Brees Burlingame would contribute and go on to have 11 saves on the day, and Samantha DeCondo would be the highlight of the game, as her goal would put her in history, as she became only the 11th player in Pioneer history to have 100 goals. The game started out to Plattsburgh's advantage, as they would go up 4-0 with over 6 minutes left in the first period. Utica would cut the lead by 2 at the end of the first period. Plattsburgh would increase their lead to 3, as they would go on to have a 6-3 lead going into halftime. The third period would be a goal fest, as both teams would combine to have 11 goals in the third. Plattsburgh would score early in the 4th period to have a 12-9 lead with less than 12 minutes left in the game. But Utica would be resilient, as they would score 3 unanswered goals to get the game into overtime with a score of 12-all. Overtime, unfortunately, did not go Utica's way, as they would go on to lose 13-12 in a classic.
The men's lacrosse team faced Empire rival Russell Sage College last Wednesday. Sam Serrano kicked things off for the Pioneers, scoring the first goal just over 5 minutes in. John Spoto continued rolling with the points to give 2 more to Utica before the Gators answered back with 2 points. The first quarter ended in Utica's favor, 5-2. Russell Sage kicked off the second quarter halfway through, but with 5 minutes left, Utica's Jonathan Chalinsky and Nolan Shea responded with 2 goals, putting Utica up 7-3. The third quarter had a lot of action in the first 10 minutes, piling up another 2 goals for Utica by Hayden Satchel and Chalinsky. The final quarter gave Utica 5 more points, but Russell Sage closed it up, making 3 goals on Utica, 1 with only 6 seconds left in the game. Sam Serrano tied his season high, scoring 3 goals and 2 assists. The Pioneers came out on top of this one by a final score of 14-9.
After a rocky 0-6 start for the men's tennis team, they looked to finally get in the win column versus SUNY Delhi this past Wednesday. The men dominated from the start with 3 straight wins in the doubles matches. Damian Bruce and Hunter Sanford led the way for the Pioneers as they swept the doubles matches in dominant fashion. Then in the singles matches, it was much of the same. The men took home all 6 of these matches by a large margin. The Pioneers dominated from start to finish and ended up coming away with their first win of the season by a score of 9-0. Great job, men.
Utica University's track and field team had their outdoor season start this past weekend. Javelin took place on Friday before the rest of the events kicked off, and it foreshadowed the upcoming Pioneer dominance. Justin Swaverly opened the scoring for the men, taking his first place with a huge mark of 58.92 meters. On the women's side, Lauren Mead finished third in her first ever time competing in the event. The sprints team continued to put up excellent performances on both sides, with Andy Haydes leading the way for the men. The transfer finished second in the 100, 200, as well as the 4x1. The women had a strong day as well, with Mackenzie Mix finishing in second for both 100 and 200. Laura Mead won the 100-meter hurdles as well for the Pioneers. Jay Denning had a very strong performance in the distance and mid-distance events as well. She finished second overall in the 1500 and was a member of the winning 4x4 team. The throw squad continued to run the competition in the men's side as they had two event winners on Saturday. Antoine Kelly won the hammer throw while Hunter Logan won the shot put. On the top of that, Kelly finished second in the hammer as the Pioneers narrowly missed out on sweeping the throwing events. The jumping events once again handled by Utica to close out the meet. Jack Rathburn won pole vault for the Pioneers as they took top three spots in that event. Zero Wright finished second in high jump and third in long jump to cap off his scoring day. The women handled the jumps as well, with Nora Devitt finishing third in the long jump as she won the triple jump. Overall, the men's team overall finished first, and the women finished in second. The strong performances certainly instilled fear to the rest of the conference as the men look to repeat as champions.
The Utica University men's tennis team came into this Friday evening game versus Alfred University after finding their first win on the season 3 days prior with a stomping 9-0 victory over SUNY Delhi. This matchup between Alfred was postponed one day due to the weather. The doubles matches is where the Pioneers took over as the pairings of Damian Bruce and Richard Nguyen, as well as Bradley Litz and Hunter Sanford, both picked up an 8-0 victory in their respective doubles matches. Litz and Bruce continued their strong and impressive seasons after both won their singles matches as well. Both Litz and Bruce won their single sets by a score of 6-0. Gaynay Du and Jack Pout also notched a win in their singles matches as well. The Pioneers would take this match in the end by a huge margin of 7-2 over the Saxons. And with that win, the Pioneers continue their momentum in the win column, proving to 2-5 on the season, as well as receiving their first set of conference points on the season. This was just the third time in history that the Pioneers have ever defeated the Saxons.
The Utica women's lacrosse team hosted the nationally ranked St. John Fisher Cardinals to wrap up this week's of games. The women had gone cold after a hot start, dropping their last 4 games. A win against the red-hot Cardinals would be exactly what they need to get back on track. Unfortunately for the Pioneers, it was a disastrous first quarter. Fisher scored 8 consecutive goals to open up the game, all but putting it away within the first 15 minutes. Hannah Kumpf led the way for the Cardinals, recording a hat trick in the first quarter. The Pioneers put up a better fight to close out the game, but it was a little too late as Daniela Muscari found the back of the cage for the first Utica goal early in the second quarter. However, Fisher answered right back to keep pace. Abby Gurley and Grace Stuhlman each had 2 goals as well to complete the day of scoring for the Pioneers. At the end of the game, the number 24 ranked nationally Cardinals won 16-5. The loss drops them to 0-2 in conference play, making each game a must-win for the rest of the way.
April is here, and with that, softball's in the heat of their season. Skidmore College is coming to town to kick off the team's first series in their busiest week of the year. The Pioneers will be looking to get some revenge after getting swept by the Thoroughbreds last season. So be sure to come out and support your Utica softball team on April 11th. The first game will start at 4 p.m. and the second will be at 6 p.m. at Greenman Field across from campus.
Softball will be continuing their weekday non-conference play against RPI on Wednesday, April 12th. After their series against the Engineers got pushed back due to rain, Utica is ready to snap a 5-game losing streak against RPI. The first pitch of the doubleheader is set for 3 p.m. and the second game is slated to begin at 5 p.m.
After a trip to RPI, the baseball team will be heading back home versus SUNY Poly Wildcats this Tuesday. The Pioneers have gotten off to a hot 15-7 start to the season, thanks to the hot bats of Dom Fasolo and John Sun. The Wildcats, on the other hand, have struggled, sitting at an overall record of 7-14 and coming off a tough series sweep for SUNY Cobleskill. First pitch is set for 4 p.m., so come down to the baseball field this Tuesday, April 12th, for some midweek baseball.
The men's lacrosse team will play at home on Wednesday against Hartwick College. The men have not gone off to a good start as the team just sits at 5-8. Hartwick, on the other hand, has had a good start to the year as they are 4-3. This is an important game for Utica as an Empire 8 conference game like this can bolster their team into a win streak. Come out to watch the Pioneers play at 4 p.m. on Wednesday.
This Friday, April 14th, the Utica men's tennis team squares off against Medallia University in an Empire 8 match. The Pioneers are coming off back-to-back wins over SUNY Delhi and Alfred University. The tennis team currently sits at a 2-5 record on the season and are also 1-2 all-time against Medallia heading into this matchup. Last season, the Pioneers lost by a score of 5-4, so be sure to come out to the University tennis courts this Friday to see if the men can keep up this winning streak.
The women's lacrosse team has a big Saturday ahead of them, including 2 games, home and away. If you're looking to support the lacrosse Mike Parnell Remembrance game, watch the women take on Medallia University at Gaetano Stadium. This game is scheduled to start at 3 p.m., and the weather is looking brighter and brighter as the week goes on. The perfect day for a perfect game.
Women's softball is continuing its busy week with another doubleheader on Saturday against Nazareth College. Come out and support your Utica Athletics on April 15th at Greenman Field. First game starts at 1 p.m., followed by the second at 5 p.m. The Utica baseball team has a busy week ahead of them as they will host Elmira College in a 3-game Empire 8 series. This series will open up with a doubleheader on Saturday, April 15th. Pioneers are coming off a huge series sweep versus Keuka and currently sit second in Empire 8 with a 7-2 record through conference play. Elmira, on the other hand, has yet to find their footing this season with a 6-16 overall record. Regardless, conference matchups are always exciting, so come down to the baseball field this Saturday. The first game is set to begin at 1, and the second is set to begin at 4 p.m.
This Saturday, the Utica men's tennis team is hosting a match against the Houghton Highlanders. This match will take place at 2 p.m. at the university's tennis courts. The Pioneers have already previously faced off against the Houghton Highlanders. That match ended in a 9-0 score in favor of Houghton. Be sure to come out this Saturday afternoon as the boys look to bounce back against the Highlanders and continue their winning stretch.
This Saturday, April 15th, the Utica University men's lacrosse team continues on with Empire 8 play against Medallia University. The first face-off set for 1 p.m. at Charles A. Gaetano Stadium. The boys' senior day is also highlighted as the Mike Parnell game. Mike Parnell was a former men's lacrosse coach who passed away last year. This game certainly has plenty of meaning behind it, so be sure to come out and enjoy the great event.
After their doubleheader on Saturday, the baseball team will finish up their series versus Elmira on Sunday, April 16th. There's nothing better than some afternoon baseball, so come on down to the baseball field this Sunday at noon to support your Pioneers. Tying up in a busy week, women's softball has a doubleheader on Sunday against St. John Fisher. Come down and support the Utica Athletics on April 16th at Greenman Field. The first game is set for 1 p.m., followed by the second at 3 p.m.
And that's all the Utica sports we have for you this week. Be sure to keep an eye out for our Moose Minute series that takes an inside look at your Pioneer athletes.
And be sure to follow us on social media at Utica UTV on Instagram to see when Utica TV will be broadcasting your Utica Athletics.
Thank you so much for watching, and always remember to
Fear the Moose.